Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we're going to tell you a story today, a disturbing story. It's kind of a doomsday scenario for lawful and responsible gun owners. It's about being jailed under not only ludicrous but unconstitutional gun laws. Listen, we're not talking about federal gun laws. We're not talking about a renegade ATF. We're not talking about a renegade Department of Justice. No, this has to do with state gun laws, which, as we know at the state level, they can get pretty crazy and incredibly unconstitutional. And yes, they are very dangerous to lawful and responsible gun owners. We're going to give you an example today, and then we're going to ask you for some help. So today, let's spend a few minutes, let's get you educated, and let's talk about how bad gun laws land good people in jail. Okay, America, listen, this story's already gotten a little bit of publicity. We're going to kind of jump on the bandwagon here, but I got to give credit to the people who actually broke this story and really brought this whole story to national attention. And that's the folks over at Bearing Arms, in particular, Cam Edwards. Now, if you guys don't know who Cam Edwards is, he's one of the most prolific 2A journalists out there. He's been doing it forever. He does dynamite work. We're going to link them all up down below. You guys should be following all the good folks, especially Cam over there at Bearing Arms. Now, I'm going to introduce you to Air Force veteran Kyle Collada, who was arrested way back June 24th in Gardner, Massachusetts. And as of the recording of this video, which is October 23rd, 2025, he still sits in jail. Oh my God, you're saying, what could Mr. Collada have possibly done? Well, let me set this up. Mr. Collada and his girlfriend had fallen on rough times. They were originally Arizona residents. They were currently living in their car. They decided that they were going to relocate from Arizona back to Massachusetts so that they could be closer with family. On the night in question, Mr. Collada was pulled over for failure to yield, and ultimately law enforcement discovered that his registration had been canceled because he had no automobile insurance. Now, the officers decided that the car needed to be impounded, and one of the things officers will do before they impound a car is they will do an inventory search to inventory all of the property in there so that the car owner could not later claim that items were stolen. During the course of that inventory search, officers discovered both firearms and magazines, which are prohibited by Massachusetts law. Now, I want to make this really clear because this is the important point here. Mr. Collada was not prohibited from possessing firearms on the federal level. Mr. Collada was not prohibited from possessing firearms on any state level. The firearms he purchased were lawfully purchased. The firearms he possessed were lawfully possessed, but for Massachusetts state law. But you see, he didn't have a Massachusetts carry license. He didn't realize that there were all of these limitations in Massachusetts. He had kind of relocated under very strenuous circumstances based upon what was going on in his life. And ultimately, he was arrested on multiple unlawful weapons charges. So he gets arrested. He's sent to jail. He does his initial appearance. But the judge decides that they are going to issue no bail, which means no matter how much money Mr. Collada could come up with, he is not going to be released because there is no bail that's permitted on his case. He is literally going to be held in custody pending the trial on this case. Now, you see this happen in really egregious cases, 4 counts of capital murder and things like that. Yeah, people like that will in fact be held without bail. There is no violence allegations whatsoever. If you take a look at the police reports, Mr. Collada was polite and cooperative and incredibly honest with law enforcement during the inventory search. There were no threats of violence. There were no acts of violence. There was no planning to commit any violence here. And yet Mr. Collada still sits in jail today. And that's all because of Commonwealth of Massachusetts General Laws, Part 4, Title 2, Chapter 276, Section 58A. Because that law says that if the prosecution pleads that a person poses a danger to community safety, that their dangerousness level rises to such a degree, they can be held without bond for up to 4 months. As a matter of fact, the applicable law here specifically reads, if after a hearing pursuant to the provision of subsection 4, the district or superior court justice finds by clear and convincing evidence that no conditions of release will reasonably assure the safety of any other person or the community, said justice shall order the detention of the person prior to trial. A person detained under this subsection shall be brought to a trial as soon as reasonably possible, but in absence of good cause, the person so held shall not be detained for a period exceeding 120 days by the district court or for a period exceeding 180 days by the superior court. Okay, but these are mere possession crimes. Again, no allegation that the firearms were used, that there was an intent to use them, that anything nefarious was going on other than simple possession. How then can a court find that Mr. Collada is dangerous? Well, if we go all the way down to section 4 of the statute, which was previously referenced, and we see that it's a statute that looks like this, so I'm not going to read the whole thing to you so I don't bore you to death, but you will see right here that there is actually a reference to chapter 140. Essentially, anybody who is charged with a crime under Chapter 140 of Massachusetts criminal statutes is automatically deemed dangerous. What is Chapter 140? Oh yeah, you guessed it. That's right. That's where every single one of Massachusetts firearm laws sit, including the ones that Mr. Collada is being charged under currently. Okay, now, after the good folks at Bearing Arms brought this to national attention, the good folks over at the Gun Owners Action League jumped in to represent Mr. Collada and have supposedly already retained local counsel. That's the good news. Here's the other piece of good news, is now the state is offering an opportunity for Mr. Collada to post bail. That bail amount is $10,000, okay? Now, obviously, we already know that Mr. Collada was going through a rough time. He and his girlfriend were living out of the car. They probably didn't have more than a couple of nickels to rub together. So coming up with $10,000 to get this gentleman out of jail is virtually impossible unless all of you are willing to chip in. So down below in the description box, we have links that the Gun Owners Action League has established so that if you want to help out in this cause, you may do so. In America, I want you to realize that there is a gentleman right now that's sitting in a Massachusetts jail and has been sitting there for nearly 4 months already without any chance of getting bail or bond for a situation in which, 1, he's only been charged with a crime, not convicted. 2, has no violent history or no criminal history at all. 3, there was no threat of violence. This was a mere possession crime. And 4, reports show that Mr. Collada was polite and cooperative with law enforcement during the entire investigation. Jim Wallace, the executive director of the Gun Owners Action League, specifically was quoted on this case as saying, "The fact that a U.S. citizen can be detained without bail for exercising a civil right without government permission is unconscionable and unconstitutional. Kyle is an Air Force veteran with no criminal record that we are aware of, yet he was declared dangerous by the state. If he was pulled over a few miles north in New Hampshire, he would only have been charged with an unregistered vehicle." But what I want you to be aware of is that every time some state legislature comes up with some crazy gun law that they claim is going to save lives, although it doesn't save any life, those in our community often scream bloody murder that, hey, this is going to sweep up innocent people. This is going to sweep up lawful and responsible gun owners. It's going to criminalize them. It's going to ruin their lives. And what do the folks who promote civilian disarmament do? They merely scoff at it. Well, here's a real life example of how not only ludicrous, but ridiculously draconian and unconstitutional gun laws can in fact jail a person for merely exercising what is supposed to be a God-given, inalienable constitutional right. Okay, once again, we got links down below so that if you want to help Mr. Collada, you may do so. We got links down below for Bearing Arms, so if you're not checking them out, you should. We will keep you updated about this. We will keep you informed on what happens with Mr. Collada moving forward. Okay, now listen, if you got any questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, which in Massachusetts appears to be next to nothing, you should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now, but if you don't, that's okay. That information is down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, you click on that link right there and you tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to the monthly newsletter, the ability to do that is down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.